segment, we're going to get down in the dirt and get into the nitty-gritty, and we're going to get into the part that I think you all find is fun, and that's when you get to actually use the paint that you picked out at the hardware store, or maybe you even found some sort of lab set and you concocted your own paint. I don't know. However you want to do it, we're going to do it now. And the first step is I like to wear this full painter suit. It's full body and it zips up on the belly, and I just feel a lot happier. I feel cleaner, and I like to stay clean. I like to protect my clothes. I think you all will find that in common with me. But as I said earlier, the biggest thing about working is that you work safe, cleanly, efficiently, proficiently, and intelligently. And so that corresponds with that. And then also safety gear. So we're going to wear a hard hat. This is a hard hat. And for all y'all laymen out there, what it does is actually protects you from falling objects. Whenever you hear the word construction, I want you to think falling object. Construction should be synonymous with falling object, and that's why it's mandatory in most states in the United States to wear a hard hat on any construction site. I also would like to take this moment to remark on, I think, a misnomer in the construction world, and that is that if there's something falling, let's say you drop a crowbar on one of your colleagues at 10 feet, you don't say heads up. That's a mistake. I hammer and drill into people the mistake that would be. And that always ends tragic. So what I like to substitute that term for is heads down. So when people hear that, they actually look down, and the falling object uses the hard hat correctly instead of falling on someone's forehead, which could lead to a paralyzed state, a vegetated state. You're on some sort of oxygen machine and your family doesn't even know if they should pull the plug or not. So the main point is, don't say heads up if an object is falling. Instead, think of that person and say heads down. So I think it's just important that people work safely, and everyone has to work together with that same objective, working in harmony and synchronized, like synchronized ballet or swimming, which is very difficult. To break it down, I want you to remember this. 1, heads down. 2, hard hat up. 3, homeward bound. You're safe. That object's on the ground. Our third item for safety is the safety vest, which is designed with safety in mind because it has fluorescent colors that draw people's attention to y'all. So if you're working in a construction zone, you want to put this baby on so that you are easily visible at all times. Again, it all falls in line with being safe and going home at the end of the day. And plus, if you're working on the job, you don't always get ID badges, so the folks around know that you're supposed to be there. But if you're wearing this, they know you're supposed to be there because only professionals wear it, and no one even second guesses your presence. Fourthly, we've got safety gloves, and you can see these gloves are designed with a particular hand in mind. Thumb are opposing for left and right hands, and they're made of, I believe, cowhide, and you could use these gloves for the most heavy-duty situations. I've heard of stonemasons using these. Now that I've got my gloves on, I feel one step closer to going home at the end of the day. And you should too. And so now we feel comfortable to proceed with this particular project. And the first step is to assess the wall. This particular wall is made of a rawhide, and it already has a primer coat, but you could see there's a nail here that we're not going to use anymore. So I'm actually going to pull this one out. I'm using this carpenter hammer. Carpenter simply means that it's normally used for carpet, but you could use it for nails too. Now that the nail is safely extracted, we will proceed to fill it so that the hole is voided and we could then cover it with paint. This is where we use the glue gun, and this particular glue is very fast and quick and fills the biggest holes. Those varmints that are in the wall will die. If you fill in the holes at the baseboard like you see on Tom and Jerry's, they won't have any place to go, and I'll talk more about that later in this program, about the seriousness of filling holes and how in doing so greater responsibility is needed and required, in that we are not just filling holes, we are actually cutting off air circulation, and that's something that you have to consider always. We are proceeding to fill in the hole. So you can see that I used an excess amount of glue for the hole, but that is by design. We will now actually disperse the glue to fully fill the hole, which I have determined safe to do. Voila, just like that. I make it look easy, but if you watch and practice that method, you can do that as well, just as safely, just as swiftly, and just as intelligently, which I feel like it's second nature for me.